From the Opelka Studios in Oklahoma City, this is an OSU Update with Gina Mizell. I'm Jenny Carlson. Gina, wacky weekend in college football. BCS shakeup for sure. The Cowboys riding a roller coaster. Where are they now on this ride?
Well, when I walked out of Jack Trice Stadium on Friday, I thought that the Cowboys' BCS hopes to play for the national title were absolutely finished. No way, based on how far they would drop, it would be too hard for them to climb back up into that number 2 spot. But then Saturday happened, and Oregon loses, Oklahoma loses, Clemson also loses. That doesn't really affect the Cowboys too much. And because of all of that, they only dropped from 2 to 4. So still on the outside looking in at this point, but with a big weekend in the SEC coming up, and if they get some help, they could eventually climb back up into that number 2 spot, depending on what happens this weekend and depending on what happens against Oklahoma.
Obviously, you talk about the SEC. Is there any chance that those SEC teams just change spots and still end up with 2 in the top?
I mean, yeah, there is. I think it depends on which BCS experts you look at. Some people, Brad Edwards of ESPN, has said that even if Arkansas beats LSU on Friday, they'll still be the number 3 team in the BCS. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can still happen. I think we saw this weekend that, there's nothing guaranteed as far as, how this is all going to shake out. But if Alabama happens to lose to Auburn, or if Georgia happens to win the SEC championship game against either LSU, Arkansas, or Alabama, right now trying to figure out that tiebreaker is kind of a mess, then maybe Oklahoma State could slide back in that number 2 spot. But right now, worst case scenario is if you win Bedlam, you're going to go to the Fiesta Bowl as the Big 12 champions and potentially the national title game if some other things happen. But it's too much to try to figure out at this point, I think.
Lastly, with OSU, is their hope more lying in the computers or in the voters? Or that's obviously all part of the equation,
right.
But do they need help from one more than the other?
They need help from the voters right now because they're still one of the best teams in the computers. They're ranked number 2 right now when you take all the computer averages. So that's been the case all year with the Cowboys, is for whatever reason the computers, love the strength of the Big 12, which means they love OSU. So it's kind of going to depend on what the voters do again with all this SEC stuff. Are they going to drop a team like Arkansas or Alabama to try to prevent one of those rematches from happening? Because I don't think anyone really wants to see that unless maybe you're an SEC type person. But it's going to really depend on the voters and what they do because the computers are still on OSU's side at this point.
All right, thanks, Gina. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.